Welcome to this special edition of a 91 Day Success Podcast live. Normally, as you guys know, if you're watching the podcast, I don't go live, but we actually make sure that we pre-record and we have a great time interviewing leaders, thought leaders, agencies, and trying to bring you the best possible content that we can for digital marketing agencies. But today's a special day on a couple different things that are going on. I wanted to share with everybody, and we're going to do a different episode today because of that. So first, as you figured out, we're live right now, and we're actually going live. I'm coming to you live from Alabama, and able to get out of Michigan for a little bit and enjoy a beautiful sun and warm. And so that's why the background's a little bit different. I'm in a different office and really excited to get everything set up and working for you guys. But the other reason I want to come to you today, and the main reason isn't just because I'm in a different state today, it's because of the fact that today marks an entire year of podcast episodes that we've put out. And I wanted to come to you and just say personally, thank you for the time and energy that you've spent as we've grown our audience, as you've given me your feedback. It's been an amazing year. 52 episodes in the books, and I'm really thrilled that we've been able to put an episode out every single Friday for an entire year. And we've got one more for 2023, but it'll actually be beginning our second year, so to speak. Next week, Friday, we'll have one out. We've already got that episode recorded. I'm really excited about it. If you're joining us for the first time, you may not know a lot about what the 91 Day Success Podcast is about. And I wanted to share a little bit of that to give you some perspective. So this all began with a book that was put out by Russell Brunson called 30 Days. And during that book, or in that book, he interviewed some of the main users of his platform, ClickFunnels, and asked them if they had to start over and do it all again, and what would they do in the first 30 days? And I thought that was an interesting concept, but candidly, I didn't think that 30 days was enough time for most people to really launch a new business, get excited about it. And I wanted to do something that I thought was a bit more pragmatic or practical. And so I went with 91 days. Why 91 days instead of 90? Well, I wanted to do 3 months. And if you figure that out, that's going to be 91 and a quarter days, if you figure it out technically. So it was easier to do 91 days. So the whole premise of the podcast has been around, if you had to start over and you had 91 days to generate or create a business that was generating $10,000 a month in revenue by the end of that term, and you had to start with only $1,000, what would you do? And we've asked some of the most amazing people and agency owners, business owners, and that what they would do over the last year. And we're putting together a really cool synopsis of that. We're going to put out an episode that's just everybody's advice. And I'm really excited about that one. That's going to be really cool. That'll come out first of the year. But we've got some amazing advice from different people on things that they would do in order to start that new business and how they would best spend that $1,000 in the first 91 days. Ironically, very few of the ideas have been the same. They've been a lot of different ideas. And I think my favorite ones overall, I should say, are focused on beginning by really identifying your audience and who you're going after and making sure that you're solving a problem that they're willing to pay money to fix. One of my mentors, Billy Sticker, he says something that I love when it comes to planning a business. And the first part is find someone with a problem that they want fixed and provide that solution. If you want to make good money, find someone that has a fair amount of money that's willing to pay that to get fixed. And if you want to make great money, find somebody with a big problem that has money who's willing to pay you to fix that. And that typically means working with other businesses, because while you can certainly work with high net worth individuals, there's a lot more businesses out there that you can work with. And businesses, because they're in the business of making a profit, are often much more willing to spend money to resolve an issue that they have than what maybe you could find out with an individual. So my recommendation, if you're going through this process, is identify a pain or an area that businesses are struggling with, hopefully a business that you're familiar with or an industry, a niche that you're familiar with, and then identify a solution to that, reach out to those business owners and offer them your solution to fix it, obviously for a fair price. And that's just an incredible way to build a business. We've had lots of ideas about how to spend the $1,000. Some of my favorites, just off the top of my head, were joining the local chamber of commerce and beginning to network with people in your areas. Especially good if you're talking a local service business or anything like that. Others that I thought were really good were investing that money into a video editor to go ahead and create and help you create daily videos. If you know me at all, one of the things that I'm a huge proponent of, and I've done to build my own business, I'm going to share my story with you here shortly, is I'm a huge proponent of developing what I call topical authority. And that means going out and creating the content that you need to create in order to be seen as an expert in your niche. And by doing that, by the way, that doesn't have to cost much money. By doing that, you'll be able to create a business that basically has an inbound leads engine where those leads are coming to you because people identify you as a leader in your niche. And when they identify you as a leader in your niche, who do they look to when it comes to solving their problem? They look to you. So whether you're a roofer working in Indianapolis, Illinois, Indiana, and or if you're a dentist in San Diego, California, or anywhere in between in any type of industry, creating that topical authority is my recommendation. And so I guess let me jump into that. What would I do? I've never shared. What would I do? What would Jonathan do? Well, I'm going to do better than that because I'm going to tell you what I did. So many of you may know that I founded a digital marketing agency called Valorous Circle back in 2010. Had the joy of growing that with an amazing team and selling that off. And in this past summer, I made the decision to step away from day-to-day operations at Valorous Circle and start a new agency. And my goal was to prove my 91-day success podcast formula. In other words, what would I do in the first 91 days with a goal of generating $10,000 or more in revenue? And by the way, how would I keep that spend at under $1,000? And so I did that. I started that this past summer in August, and I built a brand new agency from scratch. That was my choice. You don't have to build an agency, but that's what I did. And I proceeded to go ahead and create the content needed, develop a product and a service. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. But I'm happy to report. So we started mid to end of August, and that would give us September, October, November. By the time I got to the end of November, actually mid-November, so 91 days, 3 months after I started, I'm happy to report that I had far exceeded the $10,000 in revenue and was now actually on a point to generate that on a recurring basis every single month. So our total billings were well over 10,000, and we were now set up to be on a recurring basis where we were generating over $10,000 a month in recurring revenue. So what's recurring revenue? Recurring revenue means it's monthly revenue that keeps coming in every single month. And I built my new agency with that specific thought in mind, in that I wanted to build an agency that could develop recurring revenue as I built this business. So a little bit about that agency, you know who I am and how would I get there if I was interviewing myself. So as you see, I've got this little thing called a white beard, and going through and picking up business names is never one of my favorite things. But we decided to call it, or I should say I decided to call it White Beard Strategies, named after my beard. Hoping that that would also instill some confidence in people and that it would cause them to reach out. So what did I do in the process? And I need to take a step back to talk to you a little bit about, because I pre-planned some of this out, not necessarily the Whitebeard strategies, but I knew I was going to make this move starting about a year ago. I wasn't sure when, wasn't sure the timing, probably much like many of you. Before you make that jump into a new business or a new venture, or you're trying a new side hustle, you've been thinking about it for a few months. You've been debating about what to do and where you're going to do and what it would look like and all that. Well, I began that process in October of 2022. And I wasn't sure at the time what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure what that new agency might look like, or if it might be something totally different. But I did know that it was going to be super important that I was an expert at that time, or at least perceived as an expert by my audience. Why? Because I knew that that's how I was going to be able to generate new business without having to spend a lot of money on advertising. So I began building, again, my topical authority, becoming omnipresent online. In other words, being everywhere that my audience was going to be. And I began doing that last October. While I was putting together my business plans and figuring things out, I made sure that I published regular blog posts. I made sure that I published daily videos and that I put out multiple social media posts every single day. Not knowing exactly where I was going to start, I began focusing on stuff that was relevant at the time to Valorous Circle, the agency that I was currently working at and had founded. That worked out really well. Really cool thing happened after just a couple months of creating daily videos and putting out multiple social media posts and writing. I tended to average about a blog post 3 to 4 times a week. All of a sudden, I started having people reach out to me, not asking about why they should talk to me or anything else, but how they could work with me, because they'd seen my videos, they'd seen my blog posts, and something in those had resonated with them, just like hopefully my conversation with you is resonating today. And they reached out to say, "Hey, Jonathan, how can I work with you?" If you've done sales before, it's a very different conversation when somebody reaches out and says, "How can I work with you?" versus "Why should I work with you?" And so that began a transition that has really just continued to play out over the entire last year. It's been simply amazing across the board. So, as I mentioned, in August, I founded and started Whitebeard Strategies and decided that I was going to be helping other digital marketing agencies create topical authority and helping their clients. And you may go, "Jonathan, why digital marketing agencies?" Well, a couple things. First, I had seen by then, we were not even 9 months in, and I had seen the value of creating topical authority and that online omnipresence, because it was regularly generating inbound leads for me every single week. And these were qualified leads that I wanted to work with, people and businesses that I wanted to work with that were great clients. And they were coming to me, which is always easier than having me reach out and find them. So I decided I wanted to teach this to other businesses and help them do that. And had a lot of different thoughts about the way to do it. But I also have a coach that I work with. His name's Josh Nelson from Seven Figure Agency. Great team, great program. If you're an agency, I highly encourage you, by the way, to look at that. But one of the things that Josh encourages through his training and coaching is to develop partnerships. We call joint venture partnerships. And the goal there is, if you think of it this way, would it be easier for me to go out and find 100 clients for me to work with at Whitebeard Strategies? Or would it be easier for me to find 10 joint venture partners that I could work with, all of whom would then bring me, if they were happy with my services, clients that I could work with? And if they all brought me 10, I'd be at my 100 as an example. Well, it's obviously a lot easier, and it's easier for me to put time and energy into those 10 joint venture partners as opposed to trying to reach out to 100 unique customers. So it's exactly what I did. And I started working with agencies, not so much as joint venture partners, but I found out that agencies understood. When I talked to a digital marketing agency owner, they got the fact that they needed to be creating content on a regular basis. They needed to be perceived as the go-to expert in their niche. And here's the other thing, most of them weren't doing it. To this day, most of them aren't doing it. They know they need to, but if you're familiar at all with the digital agency world, and I've interviewed a lot of them over the last year, most digital agency owners are so busy trying to take care of their clients and deliver services that they don't have time to take care of their own marketing. One of my favorite mentors, Matt Plapp, also shared with America's Best Restaurant. Matt often shares you need to drink your own Kool-Aid, meaning as marketers and digital marketing agencies, we so often have great recommendations for our clients, but we don't do a great job of implementing that in our own agencies. And he's absolutely correct. And I found out that's very much the case with many of the people that we deal with. So Whitebeard Strategies is now set up to do exactly that, to deliver to those agencies the services necessary, the content necessary for them to become and seen as the go-to expert in their niche. And the goal, and it's already working out, is that those agencies then, when I've proven how well that works for them, are introducing me to their clients and therefore helping me expand my agency in that process. So again, it's went really well. I'm really excited about what 2024 holds, and I'm looking forward to next steps. Again, it's been a great journey so far. If you've got any questions about it, I'd be happy to share. This is not designed to be a sales pitch, but it's designed to share with you the fact that I took the whole concept of the 91-day success and I tried it out myself, and we achieved it and we won. A good friend of mine is working on this as well right now. I don't know if you know JC Height from Height Digital. He's actually doing that. He's in Searcy, Arkansas, moved his family into Searcy, where he grew up, with his wife, his kids, and they're starting from scratch. JC and his wife Karen already run an amazing agency called Height Digital. But on top of that, they're now trying to build a new agency to prove it can be done. And in 4 months, they're looking again to generate $10,000, in this case, profit over that 4 months. I have no doubt JC and Karen will absolutely crush it. But I'm excited because it's fun to watch that journey, and it's fun to watch others that get the same type of vision that I've had and are executing that and making it happen. So it's been really, really fun to see that and to see how that happens. By the way, if you want to follow JC and Karen, I'll put a link up on the podcast notes. Go check out, they've got a Facebook channel and everything else where they're talking about this 4-month quest, and it's really amazing. Super, super cool. Anyway, enough about all of that. So it's been a year, as I mentioned, a year of podcast, a year of interviewing business people, mainly digital agency owners, and finding out what they've been doing, what they would do, how they would move forward, all those things. So as we go into year 2, I'd like to ask you, what would you like to see? Because it's my niche and it's what I'm interested in. I've talked to a lot of digital agency owners, and I'll probably continue to talk to some of those. But I'd like to know, as an audience, who would you like me to interview? What are the business people that you would like me to reach out to and have on the podcast to find out, one, their stories, because we always ask and find out who they are and what they're doing, how they've built their business, get their tips. But then we also ask them, what would they do if they had to start over with just $1,000 in the first 91 days? So let me know if you would in the comments. Reach out to me via email. I'll put my contact information here. Let me know. I'd like to know, who would you like me to interview in 2024? Who are the business leaders and the entrepreneurs, the visionaries that you want to get their perspective on, so that let me know. I'll reach out and we'll see if we can get them on the show, and we'll find out what they have to say, and we'll share that as well. I'd also like to know if you've got any specific ideas. What would you do if you had 91 days? I'd love to do some interviews with the audience as well. And if you're interested, I'm thinking about setting up a panel where we bring on 2 to 4 audience members at one time, and we all talk about that. Most of our audience is made up of business owners and entrepreneurs, and I'd love your thoughts on what you might do, or maybe what you've done to do this yourself. So my 2 asks for you. One, first, is a huge thank you, not an ask, but a thank you. Thank you for your tremendous support over the last year as we've grown this podcast and as we've expanded our audience. It's been amazing, and I'm so thankful. A huge shout out and thank you to all of my guests. I've had some amazing guests on. I've mentioned just a couple of them, and the list would go on and on. It'd be 52 people. Everybody I've interviewed, I've been totally impressed with, and just some amazing standout interviews. If you haven't watched some, go back and catch some of them. There's some just really great gold nuggets from so many successful business people on the things that they would do. And we've also shared their stories. So there's been some great information about how they achieve their success as well. My ask then, getting back to that, is twofold. Again, one, who would you like me to interview as we go forward? What do you see? What's of interest to you? I want to appeal to you, my audience, and say, who would you like me to reach out to? And then obviously, if you're interested in sharing your perspective, maybe on a panel interview or something like that, would you comment below? Let me know. Reach out to me via email. You'll see my contact information in the show notes. I would love to hear from you and get you involved as well. In fact, one of the most exciting interviews I have coming up is actually next week, and it'll probably air right after the first of the year. By the way, we do pre-record our interviews, and we do that on purpose because it's just much easier with scheduling, so we can release every Friday at 10 a.m. But I've got an interview coming up, and I'm going to be releasing right after the first of the year, with a gentleman who is starting his own agency and has been working on it, I believe, for about a year and a half, while he's still working another full-time job. And so we're going to get a different perspective, not just the perspective of somebody who's already succeeded, but somebody who is in the process of building and succeeding. And I want to encourage you to tune in for that. It's going to be a great episode. It's going to be a great interview. And I'm really excited to hear from the perspective of somebody who's building their business. I've got a passion, by the way, for startups. It's why I decided to start Whitebeard Strategies. I've got a passion for entrepreneurship. So I love hearing from both sides, those entrepreneurs that have been wildly successful and those that are in the process of becoming wildly successful. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for everything. And if you've got any questions, please let us know. I'd love to be even better at communicating with you, my audience, and getting feedback from you. So don't hesitate to reach out. 2024 is going to be a great year. I want to leave you with this. Remember that you can do anything that you put your mind to. I once learned in a training, and it was a sports analogy, but if the mind can conceive it, and the heart can believe it, the body can achieve it. And I believe it applies to business as well. If your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, you too can achieve it. And as we go into 2024, I'd like to ask, what could you change in your attitude to be positive about 2024, to move forward beyond the naysayers, beyond everybody trying to drag you back down, to be successful in 2024? Have that courage, have that passion, have that creativity, and more than anything else, have that tenacity to stick with it, because 2024 is going to be a great year if you make it that way. With that, everybody, make it a great day. We'll see you next week Friday at 10, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks, and make it a great day. We'll see you on the other side, everybody. Bye-bye.